I know you guys have already heard about Diane Goodstein, the South Carolina judge whose house was set on fire on Saturday, October 4th, but I need everyone to walk with me for a second. I need you to understand what the fuck is going on here. I need everyone to understand what the fuck is going on here. Regardless of your political affiliation, you have to understand what is happening here, okay? This happened on Saturday around 11:30, 30 minutes after this guy posted this tweet. The issue before us now is very simple and clear. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks. I don't know, man. It feels like every accusation is a confession. But why are people linking these two things? Back in July, the Department of Justice sent out an email to 30, and I don't know if they sent it all out at one go, but as of today, 36 or 37 states have gotten emails from the DOJ saying, we need your entire voting records. We need everything. We need their names, their voting history, their addresses, their party affiliation, and also their driver's license numbers and the last 4 digits of their social security numbers. Something that no one else in the history of our republic has ever asked for. No one else. No other administration except this same administration back in 2017. Not before and not since. Not in the intervening presidency. In the history of our republic, and no one has ever fucking tried this. And what happened in 2017? 40-something states sued and said, I think the fuck not. You have no right to this. Voting is a function of the states. We maintain and administer our voting. Okay. And so what authority is the administration referring to or relying on when they send these letters out? They're relying on the National Voting Rights Act, which was a civil rights act thing. Okay. The only authority that they have is to make sure that the states are keeping voter records to ensure so that the federal government can periodically request to view the publicly available information to make sure that the states are not precluding anyone from voting who should be able to vote. Because what was happening during the Civil Rights Act, or during the Civil Rights Movement? What was happening? Right, so the federal government had an interest in making sure that protected classes were not being kept from the voting booths. And they are using that authority now to say, we're going to make our own fucking database. There's no legal authority to do that. And there's no legitimate, lawful purpose to do that. The federal government is not supposed to be administering voting. That is a state right. And for people who are supposed to be about small government, you guys are really fucking quick to give up all of your rights and let the big government take away the rights of your state. Because why? Because they told you that it's to make sure illegals aren't voting? That's a state interest. That's a state interest. Tell your state you want them to crack down on it if you think it's actually a problem, and not a lie that they're telling you so that they can take this data from you. Because I need you to understand who it is that does this kind of thing, who it is that creates national profiles on their citizens. Russia. Russia has elections. Are they meaningful? Russia gets to see if you're friendly to the regime or not. And maybe they engage in targeted harassment to make sure that you vote the way they want you to. Because it would be a shame if something were to happen to you or to your children. It would be a shame if you couldn't get credit and you couldn't buy food and you couldn't eat and you couldn't live in this neighborhood anymore because you've been blacklisted. It would be a shame. Because that should be the answer to the question, well, why do they want it? And I need everyone to ask, why do they want it? I need everyone to ask, why is it that this administration and no other administration ever since, or ever before or since, has ever decided to try to do this. Why? We've heard a million times now, right, that we're the product. Our data is very important. It's very valuable. The last four of your social and your driver's license number are highly protected information, right? No one knows what your DL number is. No one is supposed to know what the last four digits of your social are. Those are highly identifiable. And with your DL number, they can also then get your photo, everyone's photo on file. So if you don't have a digital footprint, they're going to get your photo. Do you know that like cops aren't even allowed to run your David to get your picture or anything like that? They're not allowed to. There have been times when cops have gotten caught doing that just for funsies. Maybe they're looking up someone like a neighbor or someone they're having a hard time with, or maybe like an ex-girlfriend that they're trying to stalk, and they've gotten fired for it. You know how hard it is to get fired from being a cop? That's how protected your photo is. Your DL number. Cops have been fired for accessing that without legal reason. They're not initiating a traffic stop and they're accessing your David information. You understand how important it is, and they're trying to get that, and they're trying to compile it. You might think that they already have it. They don't already have it. That's the reason why this administration is trying again to get it. I need you to understand that. I need you to understand that. You have to, I don't need you to understand anything I'm saying to you. I need you to ask yourself and research. Just ask yourself why they could possibly want this information. What legal purpose would it serve? Spoiler, none. So back to this, real quick. September 2nd, so July is when the DOJ letters go out. And September 2nd, a physician in South Carolina sues. And it goes before Judge Goodstein. She sues requesting a temporary injunction be put in place until a federal court can decide whether or not this administration can ask for this highly personal information, because her lawsuit said that this is a breach of privacy and contrary to the South Carolina citizens' constitutional rights. It's a violation of their privacy protections. September 2nd, Judge Goodstein says, yeah, I see that there would be irreparable harm if we didn't put an injunction in place until a federal judge can make a ruling. That's put in place on September 2nd. September 26th, there's the oral arguments on the issue of whether or not it's a constitutional violation. On October 1st, 3 days before this, the federal judge says, yeah, I don't see a problem here. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, so they got what they wanted, Sheila. Why 3 days later would this all happen? I want you to think about the mafia. We can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. We're going to get whatever the fuck we want anyway. So either we do it the easy way, or maybe your husband and your son and some third party are going to have to jump out of a burning building while you walk your dog. Maybe your husband breaks his legs, his knees, and his ankles. Maybe you lose everything. I'm not saying that this administration had anything to do with this. Unrelated, the home addresses of judges are exempt from public record. Again, I'm not saying that these things are related, but I think that because we're talking about Diane Goodstein, I think it's good to know what else is going on right now. Why it's a coincidence that she was just recently entangled in some small way with this administration. I don't care what side of this coin you're on. You have to care about your federal government compiling this kind of information and creating a profile on you. It can only be used for nefarious reasons. There is no legitimate purpose. There is no lawful purpose. This is bad. I need you to think about it.